Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do my first impressions on the Quiet Carry IQ. So this was a loaner from my good buddy Brad, aka Mile Mannered EDC. Really cool dude in the community. I'm sure you've all heard of him. If you haven't, go check out his channel. He's just a really laid back dude who does some laid back reviews, Mile Mannered style. I got my Dock Street here in my On the Edge mug. Really digging that. Yeah, this knife is interesting. I've always been interested in it because I'm a big fan of Ray Laconico and his EZC. I'll show you. This is my EZC 1.5. Really love this knife. And while I was looking for the 1.0 of this when that was, popular, you couldn't get it, right? And this Quiet Carry IQ is just kind of a similar build to that. A small EDC knife, thin, frame lock, titanium, right? Obviously, this is not a Laconico design. This is a Quiet Carry in-house design. But that's what got me interested in it. But I never pulled the trigger because of this. It's a right-handed frame lock, and I'm left-handed, and that always causes issues. See, I can't flip it out right now because I'm on the lock bar. So that's why I never pulled the trigger. And that's ultimately why when I finally got an EZC 1.0, I sold it immediately because I could not operate the damn thing left-handed. This knife is cool. It is an Elmax steel. It has this really cool sheep's foot blade. I kind of compared it to the Richard Rogers OEM Slim Utility. And it is basically a classic sheep's foot blade. I mean, if you look here on Ben's mat, that's a sheep's foot, and it's pretty dead on right there. So, classic sheep's foot blade, good action on it. You're talking about titanium scales and the Elmax blade, so good build here. I'm not sure what the price was on these. My guess is it'd be like $180, something like that. And I'm sure they did a blackout. They did one with carbon fiber. I think they did ones in 20 CB. So your prices are going to vary there, and I'm not sure what they really were. But my guess is the 180 to 200 range, if I had to guess. You have this cool deep carry clip on here. Very interesting. A clip I've never seen on another knife. It works fantastically. Has good retention in and out of pocket. No problem. Carries really deep. And for a small knife to have a small, clip, that's awesome. It reminds me of, I'm actually carrying it, my Ferrum Forge Stinger. Has that really small, sleek clip, which it's just so good when you get a clip like that. Also brings to mind the Ferrum Forge Gent. That's a drop Gent. I love these types of clips. Just classy, right? As opposed to having some giant ass thing like here. Like it's just ridiculous. Look at that thing. So yeah, really like that. I will say that as a lefty, it really isn't that hard to operate. I was just showing you that you can lock it up. I basically just kind of put my hand on it and flip it, and it works. Don't have much of an issue. I haven't accidentally locked it up and been like, what is that? I just kind of hover my thumb. I've kind of learned to do that with righty frame locks. Just kind of don't put pressure down. Just let my thumb rest, but not press, I guess, and flip it out. The D10 on this is rather light, so if I try to fail it, I can easily fail it. If I try to do a push button, I fail it. So you really got to kind of get on this tiny flipper tab which is another issue I have, is just this tiny flipper tab. It does have jimping, but you have to get on there and you got to go for it. This is not a knife you want to kind of go to the break and try to get, you want to just go, all right, I'm flipping this. Okay. And then go for it. You got to give it the old Dirk Warning, where you just kind of hammer it down and fire through it. I love how he flips flippers, but anyway, yeah, but detent aside, once you know how to operate this knife, it's fine. You're not going to fail it because you're going to pick it up and you're going to flip it. You'll see I'm slipping off. It's not the pressure thing. It's this flipper tab. It's just so small that jimping isn't enough to grab my finger, I'm surprised that Brad loves this knife as much as he does, because I've only ever seen his hands, but I picture him as having bigger kind of sausagey finger hands like mine. No offense, Brad. It's just what I get from seeing your hands. So it's interesting to me that this is a really good knife for you. Now, I've gotten used to it, and you'll see here, right-handed, it's much easier. So left-handed, it could just be a combination of the flipper tab and the pressure thing, and sometimes I just miss like that, but yeah, for a lefty, I just don't think this knife is there, I'm not going to take this apart, obviously, because it's not my knife, and I'm just not going to do that. So this is just going to be a first impressions desktop style, and yeah, so that's the action. Ergonomically, it's actually a really cool knife to hold. I kind of do the Finch type flipper choil thing here, and I just kind of hold it like on top of the flipper because it's so small. I just do this. And then I can fit my whole hand on, and I can easily use this. Obviously, that's not recommended. I'm not saying that's smart, but I'm not worried about cutting myself. There's plenty of room here before you get to that sharpening choil or whatever, and I can hold it like this. And I'm not bearing down, I might open a letter or a package or something. If I was going to do something, more intentional, I'd probably hold it back here. But look at this thing. Who is doing hard labor with this thing? Like, it's tiny. It's a little gentleman's knife, which is cool. That's what I like about it. This blade is super thin. And then it comes out and gets even thinner up here. It has a flat grind that goes most of the way down the blade, which is really cool. It's relatively thin behind the edge and slicey. It's just a good blade, a good little knife, just a great little gentleman's knife. And again, I think that's why Brad likes it, because we've talked about this knife a lot, specifically the 1.0, and that was one of his favorite knives. And I don't know what happened. He lost it, or he sold it, or I don't know what happened, but he had been trying to track another one down, and in that process he came across the IQ, and basically it has replaced that knife for him. Like, he doesn't need to go hunt down an EZC 1.0 again. And I totally see why. It makes perfect sense. Again, back to action a little bit. The closing action is actually really nice on this knife. First off, there's no blade play, and when I go and push this lock bar over, it just drops down on your thumb, one little shake, and she's home. Very fun to fidget with if you can get into a groove of nailing that flipper every time. And again, right-handed, so much easier. You can get it every time, and it's actually kind of fun to use. Left-handed, not so much. So glad I got to check this out, because I've always been interested, and I just never pulled the trigger worrying about that lefty thing. And Brad was nice enough to send it my way, and I'm glad he did. So I think that's really it for right now. It's just kind of my first impressions. I really think it's a cool knife for a righty. If they made a left-hand version, I'd be all over it. So it's not like I don't like the knife. It's just that it's made for a right-hander, and it just doesn't work very well for a lefty. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I'll follow up with the full review in about a week or whatever, and we can close this up. But I really appreciate Brad for sending this my way. This was a kind of closer up look at this knife, so you guys can all, see it a little closer up before I do a full review. So, yep, Quiet Carry IQ. I don't know why I can't get this to focus. Hang on. Back up. Back in. I don't know. Quiet Carry. Anyway, Quiet Carry IQ. Love you guys. Have a fantastic day. We'll catch you later.